Developing Tomorrow's Leaders. The podcast is all about educating, supporting, and inspiring the next generation of leaders. I'm your host, Antoine Thompson, or Coach T, and for over 35 years, I've been empowering, motivating, and enhancing the lives of many young men and women. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about teaching kids the value of money. Our guest in this episode is the mother of three who wanted to reduce clutter and teach her kids about the value of money. She realized that kids don't have a safe space to learn smart money habits, so she built one herself. Along with her husband, Mark, they created a unique child-led shopping app called Ketshop. He's going to be talking about the benefits, the features, and how advantageous it is to teach kids about this app. But we're also going to be talking about empowering kids to learn from mistakes, setting and reaching financial goals, and teaching children to be responsible for their belongings. Please help me welcome Mari Collins-Harris to Developing Tomorrow's Leaders. How are you, Mari?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate what you're doing. I know we're going to be getting into some really great things about responsibility, specifically from the financial aspect for kids. But first and foremost, I'd love for you to share a little bit about you, Mari, the person, the mother, and the wife.
Okay. I am all of those things. I'm a person, a mother, and a wife. I have a background in design, infographics, and kind of like visual teaching. And so in a previous life, I worked on like educational technology, and now I'm kind of applying those skills to fix some of the issues I've encountered with parenting. So I'm the mother of three young children. My youngest is almost 4. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. I am also the half partner of Ketshop. My husband and I started it together. I call us a wife and husband team. And so it's been really interesting because we're developing a product for families, but basing it on our own family experiences. So I really hope that we can bring something fresh to modern parenting.
The reason I really like that last part you mentioned, you make it a family process. It's not really just about the kids, it's about teaching. Parenting, like you probably know, I don't know because my wife and I weren't able to have kids of our own, but you understand that there is no playbook. There's no script for how to parent because every child brings something unique and different, and every family lifestyle is different, and everybody learns as they go. And whenever you can plant seeds early, it makes such a big difference. And you just mentioned all three of your kids are under age 10, which means you're setting a great foundation for them for years to come.
Oh, I sure hope so. That's the goal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that there's a story behind how Ketchup started, and I would love for you
Yeah.
to share that.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, my son I think he was 5 at the time. So he was like seeing what his friends had, and he was home all the time, and he wanted every single toy. He wanted RC cars and Legos. And like, I'm a little bit more minimalist. I was like, I don't want all that plastic stuff in my house. Like, you got to make some priorities. Like, I'm not going to buy this stuff. So I was kind of turning into the no mom, but I hated saying no to everything. My son was like, okay, I'll tell you what, I will work for it. I'll earn the money and then I can buy it myself. I'm like, excellent. That is the kind of energy I want to see coming from you. So he did. He made enough money to buy the RC car he was looking for. But when we went to Amazon to shop for it, it was like there were ads everywhere. There was like inappropriate products. There were things that were, made in China, and you knew they were going to break immediately. And it's really deceptive. And it's really difficult for kids to be able to sort through all that stuff and figure out like what is the right amount of money to spend, what is a good product, like what features do I want to find. So again, I found myself sitting over my son's shoulder telling him, no, don't buy that one. That one's too much. You don't have enough to buy this. But it all seemed so intangible because it was my Amazon account. And with a couple clicks of a button, like, well, I can have anything I want. It's just mom paying for it. So I wanted to be able to develop a system where my child had the freedom to make his own choices, but it was a safe environment. And there's nothing else like that out there in the market right now. So we built Ketshop, which does exactly that. It gives children the ability to shop autonomously, but still have enough parent oversight so that your kid can't accidentally buy a bunch of junk and have it sent to your house.
Wow. So they, you may find this interesting and may not, but all of that, I kind of knew, but the thing that popped out to me the most out of that story is that he offered to work for it. How often do
Mhm.
you hear kids that are willing to go, "Hey, I'll work for it"? You hear more about kids whining and crying until they get what they want. Again, a great testament to what you and your husband doing with your kids. So I love that aspect of that. And one thing I didn't really think about until you just said it was, when you kids do have access, even if you were sitting with him and you didn't have Ketshop, but you were sitting there and shopping with him, he would still be able to see inappropriate things as you're going through the process, even if you were
Oh yeah,
guiding him through it. So there's two aspects of that. Number one, teaching responsibility of doing it on their own, but the other is that parents understand that you could still be sitting there, but negative things could still get through to your kids.
for sure. And that's one of the things we've really tried hard to filter in Ketchup. Unlike, the Amazons and Targets and Walmarts and like big box stores, we make sure that your child can't be searching for, explosives or like sex items or alcohol or cigarettes. We filter out as much as we can of that stuff. And, there still might be toys that your family doesn't want, but if your child tries to buy something, the parent always has the last say. So you can't accidentally have a pony shipped to your doorstep the way you might in in other sites.
Yeah, and I would think also, and you correct me if I'm wrong, with this kind of control, even with kids doing themselves, the success rate of this has to be really good because there are limitations from negative things happening.
Yeah, it's interesting because like how do you define success, right? Like you get the thing you want, that's success, but if it's not the thing that you thought it was, that's kind of failure. But one of the things that I love about letting kids make their own decisions is that they have the opportunity to do these micro failures and learn from those and build into a smarter shopper. So when you do see your child experiencing that buyer's remorse, it's painful for them, but it's also a direct result of their own choices rather than mom, you bought me the wrong toy or dad, like the bike you bought me stinks. I don't like it. It's like, well, you bought that. You were the one who chose. If it wasn't a good choice, what can we learn from that and how can we do better in the future?
Yeah, so here again, this is what's so amazing about that. We hear so much about parents always stepping up and trying to justify failures that their kids have had to authority figures, as opposed to accepting responsibility. Hey, your child didn't do what they're supposed to do. Here you have a platform that encourages kids to learn from mistakes and or failures, which limits future or yeah, perhaps potentially limits mistakes and things of that nature. So again, this is another benefit of Ketshop is that it teaches not only responsibility, but it teaches kids about failure. Guess what? If you do order the wrong thing, guess what? Next time I'll take a little bit more time, do a little bit more investigative work to make sure that I get what I had intended to get from the beginning.
Yeah. And it's so important for kids to learn through those little mistakes and experiences early in life so that they aren't, buying the too expensive sports car when they're 16 or, not taking care of their expensive phone when they finally get one because they've learned these skills of like valuing the things that they spend their money on and like making more informed choices. So, yeah, I love to see kids fail when they're little because it is giving them those like painful moments that are necessary for growth and smarter choices as adults.
And I also think it's another example of them understanding for adults like ourselves, when we make mistakes, they'll understand that, hey, well, mom, dad made mistakes just like I did. So it's only natural. So it's not the end of the world if I don't get what I want in the beginning and probably make a mistake and not do what I'm supposed to do, accepting responsibility, learn from them,
Hmm.
and limit the opportunity for it to happen again. One of the things I wanted to ask you is for those parents out there that are listening, well, you're at the end result, okay? So you kind of work through that process. What are a couple of strategies or suggestions you would have for parents to get them on that path? You just can't sit down and go, "Hey, this is what you're going to do," because you know as well as I do. As soon as you really start telling kids, "Hey, well, this is what you're going to do," that little wall pops up, and they're going to fight you every tooth and nail Do you have any
Yeah.
strategies that you could suggest to parents out there?
Of course, yeah. One of the things we always try and do is give children choices. So you aren't putting up that wall and saying, this is what you're going to do, this is what you have to do. You always give them choices like, would you like to put on your own shoes or would you like me to help you? Do you want to buy a cookie right now or we could save up and have a party tomorrow? Just like starting to introduce those choices so that kids do have to think like what matters to me and how am I going to make the world work for me? And I think like sometimes they're going to make mistakes and they're going to be upset about it, but just being open and not doing the I told you so, but kind of coming at it from their perspective, like, "Oh, yeah, your cookie's gone because you ate it. Mm. Oh, and you're feeling sad about that. Yeah, I understand. I would feel sad too." And you don't have to solve their problems. You just have to help them understand what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, and why that might have happened.
Yeah, it goes along with the lines of when you're giving your kids reasons, or you're giving them an answer to a question. It's not the just a quick no and move on to the next thing, because they
Yeah.
don't learn anything from the quick no's, or even the slow yes. Because it's like, okay, I got what I wanted to move on, or
Mhm.
I'm mad at mom. I'm not going to talk to her because she didn't let me get what I wanted. But having those conversations, I think, also adds to the responsibility of building relationships too, with your parents, when you take the time to explain to kids why, and also you express that you understand their disappointments or their hurt, and reinforce it by saying, "Hey, I've been there, and you've probably seen me in that same kind of scenario." So
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that is a great recommendation.
Yeah. I think it's so important to let our kids in on our failures and our decision-making processes as well. I mean, a lot of it is over the kid's head and you don't want to give them every nitty-gritty detail, but include them in those conversations. Like, "Oh, we're going to keep our old car because new cars cost more and we are still in the yogurt finger phase of life. So once we graduate out of that, I think we'll probably need a new car. It's even though it might be something that like there's a lot of factors, you just got to let your kids know why you're making those decisions if they're curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just giving them the ability to weigh in on what they think and, talk about it when you do make a mistake.
Yeah. So there's an aspect of teaching them how to shop for themselves, them getting what they want. They get what they have. They're enjoying it. Then they move on to the next thing. Especially younger kids are. They go through phases of, hey, I want this. They're all about the Ninja Turtles or maybe SpongeBob, or it's,
Mhm.
well, you move on to different things. There's another aspect I think is really important that this allows teachers as well, is taking responsibility and valuing what you purchase. Meaning, when kids put their money into something, they're probably going to take care of it a little bit more. If you and your husband just went to the store and brought it home, they're happy, they got it, they break it out, whatever. But if they break what they buy, or they probably won't break it because they're going to take care of it just a little bit more. But would you like to elaborate on that aspect of it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head there because when the child feels the sacrifice of, oh, I spent my $25 that I've been saving up for on this item, they're going to appreciate it more. They're going to understand the value of it. And that means taking better care of it, playing with it longer, putting it away. And it's great as a parent too because it reduces the amount of stuff you need because it's not always like I want this, I want that, I want the other thing and easy come easy go. It takes more to get those items into the home, and so there's fewer things coming in and you're valuing the things you have more. I think it's super helpful to give kids the opportunity not just to learn how to spend their money but also like learn the value of the things that they spend their money on. In our family, we have our kids buy most of their recreational things, toys, puzzles, that kind of stuff. And then we'll pay for, the toothbrushes and the jackets and the boots and that kind of stuff. But we do have a policy where we'll buy the first one, but if a kid keeps losing their water bottle, they're paying for the second one. We're not going to replace it because for a long time, we were just like replacing the same items over and over and over. And I was like, they don't value these. What can I do to make my kid like care about this. And it's giving them the power to choose which water bottle they want, making them pay for it so they value it. And then when it arrives, it's their responsibility. And so, it's like a multifaceted tool for teaching kids to be more responsible with their items.
That last part, man, it's interesting. This is why I love having these conversations because when people share things like what you're sharing, you probably know too, when you have conversations, people's stories or past events pop into your head and you go like, hey, this
Hmm.
is relevant to the conversation. What you described about, you and your husband take care of the essentials and, with their water bottles and things of that nature. But if they lose it, break it or whatever, they're going to replace it. Well, I was coaching at a school. I coached at a school for 11 years. Finished up my 11th year last year. And at this school, I'm telling you, Mari, my wife and I probably could have paid for 2 or 3 vacations with the items that kids left at school. And I don't mean that these are things you buy at the Dollar Tree. I mean, these are expensive
No.
items that
Yeah,
kids
North
just,
Face jackets and
yes.
a
And
single Adidas tennis shoe. Like, how do you
you
lose
know it.
that?
Yeah.
Real.
And I kid you not, this table, there was the lost and found table. It didn't get smaller over the year. It got bigger. And you would
Hmm.
think if I left something and I came home, my mom would be like, you better have it tomorrow. Go back to where you saw it last, or you better ask around. But you would think that kids would go back or the parents would go back, hey, well, let's go find it. They don't care. They just go out and buy another one. And
Yeah.
the kids' names or things are in it, but so that kinda stuck out to me. I love that you and your husband do that with your kids because that's a wonderful, lesson to learn early.
Yeah. It's much better doing it when it's a, $12 water bottle than when it's a, $1,000 smartphone. We hope that these messages that we're sending our kids, like you are responsible for your stuff and you're responsible for replacing your stuff, resonates not just now, but as they grow older and have more responsibilities.
So let's shift to a little bit more on the financial part of it and what Ketshop does in teaching kids about finances and setting themselves up for financial success, be it now and in the future. And the
Mhm.
first question is about them understanding how to establish and reach their own financial goals, even as young people.
Yeah. So one of the features we have in Ketchup is the ability to set a goal. So if there's an item that a child cannot afford, they can set that as their goal. And then that shows up front and center when they sign in, and they can see like a little bar graph where they're getting closer and closer to their goal. And so that really helps. If your kid gets $2 in cash, they're going to be thinking like, $2, what can I buy for $2? How can I spend this $2? But if they get it in the context of, oh, you're $2 closer to your goal, they see, oh, I only need to get like 10 more dollars and then I can get the thing I really want. And so helping kids to realize that like money isn't just something that you use when you have it, it's something that can work for you and your bigger goals is one of the most important lessons. We also try to create catch up around the save, spend, give method of teaching early childhood responsibility, financial responsibility. So, kids can save up their money towards a goal. They can spend their money on items that their parents have approved, and they can donate to whichever causes their family finds appropriate. So, that might be something big, like, the World Wildlife Fund. It could be something local, like, your school's fundraiser. It could even be super personal, like, oh, our neighbor is going through a hard time and broke her leg. We're going to, save up some money to help her install a ramp. You can set whatever your donation goals are depending on your family. But, we love to see young people thinking about money, not just as something that is there to, make their life more fun, but also, something that helps them make the world a better place.
That is a great feature because as you're explaining it, I'm saying, what else this teaches them is like you said, yeah, you got $2, you're $2 closer to your goal, but it also teaches them every time they get money, it's maybe not just for that particular purchase, but they don't realize just because I have it doesn't mean I have to spend it.
Hmm.
And I think that that's the other aspect of it that I think that you and your husband intended as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very different experience giving a child $2 in cash, excuse me, $2 in cash rather than $2 on Ketshop because they really like experience it differently. $2 in cash is something that they can hold and they can take with them and it or lose. Honestly, I found so much money in couch cushions and laundry machines and like it just kind of has a way of disappearing sometimes when it's given to kids. But if it's like virtual money, it's like you could leave it there forever and it's still going to be there when you remember it.
And I think there's something we didn't mention, or I didn't mention earlier, but I think there's another aspect of this I think that I really like is it builds anticipation and excitement for the kids. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. They get so excited when they're getting close to their goal. And like, especially if it's a bigger goal, which I love to see. At first, kids start out with like the little tchotchkes, a stuffed animal, some coloring pens, things that are, smaller investments. But it's really cool to see kids reach bigger and bigger goals. My son this summer bought a new mountain bike, and my husband and I subsidized it. So our son probably paid about a quarter of the actual price, but it took him all summer to save up for that bike. And when he finally got it, like, oh, it was more than the joy of giving it to him. It was the joy of like, I bought this myself. I did this. I can
Right.
ride my bike, and he's so careful about it. Like his last bike, he'd leave out in the rain. He'd drop it as soon as he got home. This one, he like parks in the garage. It goes back to that taking care of your stuff. But yeah, being able to achieve your goals and like that sense of pride it gives you is one of the best gifts I think we can give our kids.
And the best part about that, I got goosebumps you telling me that about how he takes care of this bike versus the other one. But again, it transcends to all aspects of their lives. I mean, if you think about it's practicing smart money management, right? And then seeing the results of
Hmm.
that. Well, you
Hmm.
go, hey, if I do the same thing in other aspects of my life, my relationships with my parents and my friends, and what I do in the classroom, if I put forth the same effort I put forth raising money to get this bike, where would my life be in 20 years and where would my life be in 30 years? And I think it
Oh,
really sets a great foundation for kids to understand that they truly are in control of their own success. And what you and your husband have started is beyond amazing. And
oh, thank you.
hearing the features, the reason I really wanted our listeners to hear more about it is because hopefully they're getting out of it what I am. It's the in between the lines. It's not everything you're saying, but it's what you're not saying is what they're going to ultimately see, I think, once they um, sign up, which I encourage them to do. And I definitely want you to share a little bit more about that. But before, I wanted to ask you now, when people sign up, are you able to kind of see what people are doing, what kind of goals some kids are working towards, or is that kind of hidden from you?
Yeah, I can see them. I don't really check on that stuff very much. Just because, there's a lot of things and kids change their mind a lot. So what's a goal today might not be a goal tomorrow. But yeah, I've been seeing more experience based goals, which I love because those custom items they tell you so much about our kids and like what's important to them. And I love when kids are more interested in like I want to do a family trip to Disneyland than they are about like I want to, buy the next Harry Potter Lego system. It's cool seeing how families are using it, whether it's like to plan presents for their loved ones or to plan trips or just kind of scratch the itches of everyday life. There's a lot of very specific items that people add, and it's really cool seeing what kids are into.
Yeah. Well, you actually answered my question, and that's exactly what I was hoping you would say is that you've noticed more responsible buying or shopping, if you will, as opposed to what I want now. And I think it teaches kids that sometimes it's yeah, maybe I want this now, but there's more I look, there's something more purposeful that I can do or work
Yeah.
towards, which I think is really great. So that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, we really do see kind of an arc where kids start out like just like spending as soon as they can afford something, like boom, boom, boom. And then they start setting smaller goals for themselves, things that are in the like $40, $50 range. And then it keeps ramping up. And our more experienced users are saving up for some like pretty big ticket items. We have kids saving up for airline tickets. And yeah, like there's a family that's trying to save up it for a family vacation. And it seems like they're probably having the kids pay for a portion of the vacation, which I think is so wonderful because, you know, vacations are expensive. That's a luxury good too. So
Yeah.
having your
Hey.
kids like pitch in, it's like, all right, we're all going to enjoy this the most. You're not going to be like grumpy because you're paying for it too.
Yeah. Well, that's the last thing you want to do is you plan a Disney trip and kids supposed to, can erase their portion of the trip and you got a little Billy goes, "That Billy, did you raise your money?" "No, Daddy, I didn't." "Well, take care of the house while we're in Disney because you didn't do your part." And "Well, Daddy, I'm only 5." "Well, yeah, 5-year-olds got to learn too." But I think that that's great that families are using it. But I wanted to just make sure that was there any other things about Ketshop that I didn't ask you about that you'd want to share? Because I want to make sure that we get you get to share all of the amazing features.
I think one of the best things that we can do is also like give our children the experience of like shopping around, but in that safe environment. So, it's really cool from a parent's perspective to see, the items that your kid has added. And, if there's something you don't like, it's like, oh, I don't want a million piece puzzle in my home. I'm going to like hide that. That's a nice little trick. Like you can't hide those items on Amazon. In fact, if someone looks at it, it just keeps coming back more and more. So being able to like, I don't think I want you buying an air horn. I'm gonna hide this item, and then it won't come back.
Okay.
So yeah, just being able to like monitor the types of products that your kids are viewing is a great tool for parents.
So they have the freedom to shop, but with restrictions and limitations and supervision. But the
Mhm.
key word is they have the freedom. Just like with
Yeah.
anything else, there's certain things you just shouldn't do, just aren't right, and parents have the ability to block that, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. We think of it as like you have the bumper lanes when you go bowling. So you can't like gutter ball every time, but it's not going to guarantee a strike, but it will keep you from going off the rails.
Yeah, yeah, I'm still bowling with bumpers. I still haven't worked
Yeah,
up
me
that.
too.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
Not my strong suit.
Yeah, mine either. So the website is ketshop.com. And
Mhm.
if people want to get more have you answer any questions they may have, they can reach you at Mari at ketshop.com.
Yep.
Correct?
That's KETSHOP.com.
.com. You got it. You got it. So, Mari, I want to thank you for your time. Now, I actually have a question for you. I ask every guest, and there is no right or wrong answer. And that question is share with us the individual or individuals that have been most influential in your life and why.
Mm. Oh, I feel like it might be a cop out, but I think my husband, Nick, has been one of the most influential people. He is the type of person who is always trying to improve himself, and it's really inspirational. Like I'm not perfect, he's not perfect, nobody is, but he's one of the people who really puts like a conscious effort into making himself better wherever he's got shortcomings and better in the things he's strong at. So since we've been together, which is like a long time, I've found myself doing the same because I'm adopting a lot of the lifestyle choices he does, and I think it's made me a better person.
Amen. No, it's wonderful. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. I personally just like to find out what inspires people and who's influenced people in their lives and what they do. And there's always different answers, but it's just something to share. And I appreciate you sharing that because the other part is our listeners get to find out there are different people in our lives that are influences. You mentioned your husband. There's been some people that talked about their elementary school teachers, and
Hmm.
and then there's been others that have talked about their grandparents or a friend or just different people in their lives. And so I think it's important for people to understand that every person in our lives has the ability to influence our lives if we so choose to allow them to do that. So again, that's one of the reasons we do that. So no, great answer, great answer. Do you
Great
have any
question.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Do you have any words of encouragement that you would like to leave our listeners?
Yeah. I just want to encourage parents out there to loosen the reins and let their kids like get their hands dirty, make some mistakes and learn from them because we can't protect them forever. So it's important to like be okay with them feeling bad and sad sometimes and helping them through that.
No, that's great advice, and I echo that, and I agree with you 100%. Mari, again, thank you so much for your time and being with us. Just want to share with everybody that my friend and youth empowerment coach Keith Sender and I host another podcast called Teen Speak, Empowering Today's Youth. This is a podcast for middle school, high school, and college students who come on and share their challenges, but more specifically, the strategies that they've used to overcome those challenges. And if that's something that you would be interested in or know someone that would like to be a guest, you can go to either my website, coachtcorner.com, or to Keith's website, shiftyourpower.com. We both have a guest information form on there. Fill it out, and we'd love to have you on the show because it's the voice of our young people that are going to be leading us tomorrow. Along with Mari, I am Coach T, and we will see you on the next episode. Take care.
Bye.
Be sure to check out Coach T's Empowering Teens for Success section of his website. Here you will find a range of low-content digital products that are designed to empower, support, and inspire preteens, teens, and parents. His products are focused on personal growth, skill building, and empowerment, and are designed to provide students and parents with the tools they need to succeed in all aspects of life. From confidence and communication to positive mindset and mental health, Coach T's digital products cover a range of important topics that are essential for success. Just go to coachtcorner.com and click on Empowering Teens for Success.